We were telling you on the show yesterday how RTE has indicated it has absolutely no plans to stop the daily broadcasting of The Angelus, despite an online petition for them to do so in the wake of last week's Mother and Baby Homes Commission of Investigation report. We're told upwards of 3,000 have signed this online petition, but RTE says it will continue to broadcast The Angelus, that it is in keeping with a reflection of the diverse religious culture in Ireland, and they have pointed to a survey carried out by Red C, commissioned by RTE, which shows that 68% of people believe The Angelus should remain on air. And that pretty much reflects the volume of support that we received throughout yesterday, by calls, by texts and so forth. Certainly the vast majority of our listeners seem to believe that it is appropriate The Angelus continues to be broadcast. Now, it's not the first time this debate has surfaced, and indeed our next guest and his group have long called for the ending of The Angelus on national television. Michael Nugent of Atheists Ireland is on the line. Good morning to you, Michael.
Good morning.
And thanks for joining us. And as I say, it's not, you have argued this for different reasons for many years. I presume you still think it's inappropriate to broadcast The Angelus. Why so?
Yeah, well, it eventually will go from the national broadcaster, because it's not appropriate for a national broadcaster to be promoting either religion or atheism. We would be just as opposed if the national broadcaster had a minute promoting atheism before the 6 o'clock news every day. But what they're doing at the moment is even worse than what they used to do, because they're trying to claim that it's a moment of reflection for everybody. Now, clearly it's not. We know that it's The Angelus. They call it The Angelus. They have the bells of The Angelus. It's a Catholic call to prayer. So what they're effectively doing now is they're telling atheists and members of other religions that they should unite for a moment of reflection under a Catholic call to prayer. Now, that's not what the national broadcaster is for. It's not what The Angelus is for. And it's not the role of the national broadcaster to reinterpret a prayer of a religion into something for people not of that religion.
And you don't accept or buy into the fact that the broadcast of The Angelus is hugely different from what it was years ago, certainly from when I grew up, when I was a young fella. It is, and I think it's been rebranded, has it not, as the People's Angelus, but you don't see any market
I think that's
difference.
Even worse. No, I do see a difference, and the difference I see is that is worse. Now, I recognise that RTE think that they're trying to do good by this, but it's this typical nod and a wink Irish thing of just trying to fudge it and pretend that it's this for some people and it's that for other people. But if you think about it, if RTE were to broadcast a minute promoting atheism every day, and when religious people rightly complained about it, if RTE said, well, it's a moment of reflection, you can reflect under this call to not believe in God, and you can have your own little prayers, but it's the people's atheism. Everyone would realise that's ridiculous. There's no such thing as the People's Angelus. The Angelus is a call to prayer for one religion. It's not the people. We're a pluralist society now. We used to be a Catholic society. We're now a pluralist society, but with laws and traditions that still reflect the old Ireland that we have to gradually dismantle.
Okay, so it's all or nothing, Michael, as far as you're concerned. Best to scrap it completely than try and keep everybody happy and become more inclusive.
Yeah, but it's not inclusive. You can't tell people that they're included under the call to prayer of a religion that they're not a member of. That's disrespectful of the religion and conscience of other people.
Well, the argument is that not all non-Catholics believe it to be a specific Catholic call to prayer, that it may be the case that it has changed in nature and tone down the years. But you don't agree with
this is the one thing that RTE are in a bind over, and they have in fact accepted when talking to us and in correspondence with us during our previous complaints, is they do accept that by going in the direction that they are going, that it is a difficult decision to keep calling it The Angelus. So either it is a moment of reflection, in which case they shouldn't call it The Angelus, or else it is The Angelus, in which case they shouldn't be telling people who aren't Catholics that they are included under this call to prayer.
Okay, to quote you before, I think you've made this point already. You have argued, your group has argued, that the RTE should not be asking atheists to reflect on life under a Catholic call to prayer. It is disrespectful to our philosophical convictions. That's your basic argument, Michael, isn't it?
Exactly, and it would be the exact same if it was the other way around. If RTE was promoting atheism, which it shouldn't, then it would be disrespectful to Catholics to tell them to reflect under the promotion of atheism.
Right, okay. We had lots of texts on this yesterday and again today. Let's take Amanda on line 4. Amanda, you are in favour of retaining the Angelus. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but you are a practising Catholic.
Yes, now. Good morning.
Morning.
And good morning, Michael, and your listeners. Yes, well, I said in my text yesterday to you now, it's so tiresome. We're all tired. We're all worn out with this thing that's going on, and people are isolating their homes, and the constant anti-Catholic witch hunt within the media, especially RTE. And Michael, I don't know how you could be bothered complaining about a 1 minute. Have you heard of a mute button? If you don't want it. I mean, there is absolutely nothing. Yes, the bells, and it's called the Angelus. There's nothing in that portrayal, that 1 minute portrayal, got to do with the Catholic Church. The last time I saw it, which was ages ago, there was people scribbling on the pavement with a piece of chalk. What exactly is the problem? Do you not think people are at home upset and isolated and maybe have lost somebody and depressed and suicide is rampant, and you have this to complain about? Do you not think that, first of all, the Angelus is part of our culture, our history, our heritage, Michael?
Well,
I would love to know what is the problem, actually.
I think it's not so much the scenes that are being portrayed and how it's filmed. It's the fact, correct me if I'm wrong, Michael, it's the fact, I think it is by tradition considered a Catholic call to prayer. Amanda.
Okay, now, sorry. There are 3.4 million Catholics in Ireland, according to the last census. Now, we get 1 minute. I would hardly call it a very Orthodox Catholic 1 minute, but it's 1 minute. Well, sometimes we're busy. I'm a busy mum. Sometimes you actually forget, and that reminds you. Let's pray even one Hail Mary. I pray to myself, even at the kitchen sink when I hear that in the background. But we have 24 hours in the day, Michael. Everything else on RTE is anti-Catholic, and you could say atheist. And that disgusting thing on New Year's Eve that they did, that sketch, they had to apologise and take it down. Michael, if people don't get offended, why did they apologise and take that thing down on New Year's Eve?
Okay, well, let's just stick with the Angelus for now. Michael, do you want to respond to Amanda? Not the only person who holds such views. There is an off button. It's only 1 minute. How offensive can it be?
It's not a question of offence. I'm not offended by it, and I don't think that offence should be a reason to take something down. What I'm saying is that RTE has a duty as the national broadcaster, not the Catholic broadcaster, but as the national broadcaster, to be neutral between religious and non-religious beliefs. And as I say, it would be just as opposed to it if it was atheism that RTE was promoting. The role of the national broadcaster is to be neutral on those issues. And it should be equally upsetting for Catholics to have a national broadcaster reinterpreting a very important call to prayer within the Catholic Church. It's about the Annunciation. It's about the moment that Catholics believed that the creator of the universe became a human being. That's central to Catholicism. Why would Catholics want RTE to be reinterpreting one of their sacred prayers as something for the whole nation to unite under?
Well, indeed, Michael, yes, but at least it's better than nothing. It's better than nothing, and it's only 1 minute. I cannot understand. Of everything that's going around, everything that's going on, 3,000 children in emergency accommodation, everything that's going on in this country, we are whinging and moaning and having a debate and polls and surveys about 1 minute. 1 minute where RT can bother to be on the side of Catholics. I mean, it's probably
I think the current complaints, which we didn't initiate, by the way, we've been dealing with this for 10 years with RTE. The current complaints arose out of a combination of two things. One was the Catholic bishops complaining about an RTE sketch and trying to get an RTE comedy sketch removed. And then that was followed up fairly quickly by yet another report of horrific crimes committed by the Catholic Church that we've had report after report after report on. And the combination of both of those issues, particularly with the Angelus being, as I say, from a Catholic perspective, it's about the Annunciation. From a non-Catholic perspective, in an Irish context, it's about it came onto RTE at a time when all of these horrific activities were going on within Magdalene laundries, mother and baby homes, industrial schools, and it is reflective of a culture for non-Catholics that we don't want to see glorified on the national broadcast.
Sorry, Michael.
Go ahead, Amanda.
You want to eradicate everything today in 2021. You want to eradicate everything for Catholics today.
No, I don't.
Okay,
I completely support the right of Catholics to pray 24 hours a day if you want. I completely support the right of every religion to every religious person to practice their religion, and I support the right of freedom of conscience, belief, and thought for everybody. But the national broadcaster has a duty to be neutral between those positions. The national broadcaster shouldn't be promoting either religion or atheism. That's the point that I'm making about
I can tell you they're not promoting anything. They're not promoting Catholic anyway. They're anti-Catholic. Everything they do is anti-Catholic. Everything on the news, anti-Catholic.
Okay.
And you know, it actually hurts people who are of that religion.
Okay. So,
and this 1 minute Angelus is absolutely, it's not to be debated at all. It's ridiculous. Everything that's going on, Michael.
Can I ask, do you consider the Angelus to be, the Angelus on RTE I'm talking about, do you consider that to be a Catholic call to prayer or a moment of reflection for everybody?
I consider that, the particular one on RTE, it just reminds me sometimes. Do you know what I mean? It's just like a reminder. And if anybody feels that it shouldn't be on the telly, there is a mute button, there is a turn button. Look at it as a 6 o'clock alarm bell for you. I don't know, but it's just, it keeps going on, and it's so tiresome. And I know what you're saying about the mother and baby home, but remember, Ireland was a very, very poor place last century, in the 50s, the 60s, the 40s and 30s. And why was it so poor? Because of centuries and centuries of oppression and anti-Catholic persecution. We were poor.
Okay,
now you're trying to punish us today.
No, there's a very important point here, and this is this is one of the things in that Mother and Baby's Home report that was in afterwards, where it said that society was responsible and the Catholic Church was just reflecting Irish society. The Catholic Church has a policy, and you can find this on the Vatican website. There's policy documents from a group called the Pontifical Culture Council. I'm not sure if that's the exact name, but it's a body that looks at culture. And they have policy on evangelizing cultures. The current Pope, previous popes all say this, and that's part of the context in which the Angelus came onto RTE in the first place. It wasn't just to give an opportunity for people to pray. It was to evangelize Irish culture into Catholicism. And that's not the role of a state broadcaster.
But Michael, 1 minute of, and I know the bells are ringing, right? But 1 minute of somebody painting on the pavement or whatever they're making or doing is not going to evangelise you or anybody who doesn't give a hoot about religion right now. It's not going to evangelise you. So
Can I just, at this stage, Michael, ask you a question? In relation to religious programming, and it is important to a lot of groups, despite your own position on that, should there be religious programming on our national broadcaster? Does it have a time and a place, or how is that different from? I'm asking Michael. Is that different from the Angelus, Michael? Yes,
of course there should be broadcasting that reflects and supports different religions. For example, I would have no problem with particularly during the pandemic, the state broadcaster assisting people by putting mass on its website and things like that. I think that's a useful public service during a time of quarantine. So I don't have an inherent problem with RTE showing religious programming. I'm saying that it shouldn't give priority, and particularly the symbolism of having this high-profile minute just before the national news when most people are likely to be tuning in. And I'll put it I like to look at these things the other way around. Like hypothetically, if you take the fact that you have to swear a religious oath to become president, everybody instinctively realises that it would be wrong to have to swear that there's no God in order to be president. Everybody would instinctively realise that it would be wrong for schools to teach children that there's no God. So similarly, everybody would realise that it would be wrong for RTE to give a primetime minute to promote atheism just before the news every day. And so there's a blind spot when it comes to things that traditionally would happen that we don't realise that they're inappropriate because we're used to them.
Okay, all right. So Amanda, you still see it as an attack on one specific religion?
No. juvenile. I see it as it's like a non-issue. It's not an attack. It's a non-issue. I see there's more things that we could be worried about and debating and surveying in this country than that. And the Angelus is part of our culture, history and heritage. And I think it's just nice. People, especially, think of you're on your own now, isolated, on your own at home, depressed. And that might remind you of your childhood or something. I don't know. But it reminds you of God
Or it might remind you of Magdalene Laundries, or it might remind you of industrial skills, or it might remind you of the mother and baby's homes.
It might, Michael, but we're not going to solve the world's problems by, I don't know. I would like to meet you someday, Michael, and have a good conversation because...
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
okay.
there's bigger problems.